I want to ask you something before I even introduce myself. Look at these 3 websites. One of them you probably open every day. Another, 100% you have heard of. And the third, maybe you have ordered from it once or watched someone else do it on a reel. And now tell me, why do they look so completely different? They all sell things, they all ship to your door, and they all want your money. So why does one feel like a calm suburban library? One feels like a crowded night market, and one feels like you just went in for something and somehow there is already a parcel on the way. My name is Evdokiia. I'm 18 years old, and today I want to suggest you something unusual. Because these interfaces are not just design choices. They are cultural fingerprints. Let's play a quick game. 3 websites, Amazon, Wildberries, and Taobao, and 3 numbers. Each number shows how much one of these platforms earns per second. $1,000, $4,000, and $25,000. All right, what do you think?
$4,000 for Amazon. 25 for Taobao. $1,000 for Taobao.
To be honest, it sounds correct, but still not right. So, the results. Wildberries earns around $1,000 per second. Alibaba Group, including Taobao, more than $4,000 per second. And Amazon, over $25,000 every single second. While I have been standing here, they collectively earn more than most people make in a month. And here is the thing that actually interests me. Why do they look so different? If the revenue per second was only about market size, the design would be irrelevant. But it isn't, because people don't buy just from the biggest platform. They buy from the one that feels right to them. And what feels right is culture. In 1970s, anthropologist Edward T. Hall introduced a framework that changed the way how people understand human communication. He called it low context versus high context cultures. Let me explain it in the way I would explain it to a younger sibling. Imagine 2 families. You ask both kids to clean their room. In family 1, the parent just says, put the toys in the box, books on the shelf, and makes a bed. Step by step, explicit, and nothing assumed. In family 2, the parent just says, you know how clean room looks like, and the child does because they have observed the standard without being told. And that's the difference. Low context cultures like the US or Germany put meaning in the words. If you disagree, you say, I disagree. Contracts are detailed and instructions are precise. High context cultures like China or Japan put meaning in the context. The disagreement might sound like, I don't know, or that could be difficult, or even silence can mean no. Tone, relationship, and shared understanding do the work. And now, look at our 3 websites again. Amazon is low context made digital. Search bar centered, navigation clear, and cart is always visible. The implicit logic of the average Western user is, if it is important, tell me directly. Structure creates trust, and clarity reduces hesitation. You exactly know where you are, what it costs, and when it arrives. Taobao is high context made digital. Flash sales, counter reviews, and live streams. Social proof layered everywhere. For the first time Western user, it can feel overwhelming. But for a local one, it feels alive, rich, and full of social signals. And they are not noise, they are information. The implicit logic is, if it matters, I will understand that from the environment. But what about Wildberries? Wildberries, interestingly, sits in between. It doesn't belong to either extreme. It reflects a post-Soviet cultures trained to navigate complexity and not paralyzed by it. Many filters, many variations, many small, low-risk micro-decisions. The implicit logic is, I will figure it out as I go. Not one big commitment, but small, flexible, frequent, and adaptive choices. And here is the thing that actually interests me. Because each communication style doesn't reflect just culture. It protects against a different fear. Low context cultures fear ambiguity, so they eliminate it with structure. High context cultures fear over-exclusion, being outside the group and missing the signal. And many post-Soviet cultures fear over-commitment, so the platform normalizes small and repeated choices. This is where UX design becomes applied anthropology. When an interface perfectly matches your cultural communication style, your brain relaxes and decision feels natural. And when decision feels natural, your action is fast. So what does an 18-year-old do with all this information? 3 things, simple and real. The first one is designed for culture, not for technology. An interface that fits brilliantly in one country may feel completely foreign in another. And not because your design is wrong, but because your communication style is wrong. The second, reduce uncertainty in the way your user expects it to be reduced. Some need explicit structure, others need social proof layered everywhere. Try to figure out what your audience trusts and build it into your platform from day one. And the final and the most important, the third, respect micro decisions. Behavior is shaped by small and repeated choices, far more than big ones. If your interface is the thing that is implemented into someone's daily habit loop, the growth becomes something that happened to you and not something you fight for. So the next time you open a shopping app, any app, I want you to notice something. What it assumes about you, what it leaves unsaid, and how much it explains. Because that assumption didn't come just from a designer. It came from a millions of small moments. The instructions you heard as a child, the standard you have observed without being told, and the way you were taught to trust. And you know, the platforms that will build the future are not the one who understand technology best. they are the one who understand people better. And understanding people starts with one simple question. What does your shopping cart say about how you see the world?